Okay guys, hey, y'all know what it means when y'all see this wall. That means it's time to learn. Alright, so still in the unit of fractions. So you guys should already know what fractions are. You should know how to find a fraction on a number line. And you should know how to find the equivalent fraction. So today we're just going to go a step further and we're going to work on ways to compare fractions. Alright, so I have three different ways here that you guys can, well, three different strategies that you guys can use to find how to find out which fraction is less than, greater than, or even if they're equal to each other. So the example that I'm going to use is 2/3 and 2/5. I realized that there are two different fractions, obviously. They have two different denominators. So typically you would think, well, wouldn't 2/5 be greater than 2/3 because 5 is bigger than 3? Right, you would think that, but that's wrong. Because 5 is bigger, that means the fraction has smaller pieces or more pieces, and 3 has smaller pieces because it's just 3 things or 3 people. Alright, so the first, back up, Kim Parks. Okay, the first thing that I'm going to do is just quickly go over the symbols. So less than is like a L, like I tell my students, L is less than, and then backwards L is greater than, and of course you have the equal sign, which is equal to. Alright, so, alright, the first way to find out which fraction is bigger than the other is to use a fraction bar. So like I said, I am using the fractions 2/3 and 2/5. So what I did was I drew out a fraction bar that was 2/3, okay? I broke my fraction up into 3 pieces, and I'm going to simply shade in I lied. I'm going to shade in 2 pieces out of the 3. Alright, so this is how much space 2/3 takes up. Alright, and then I'm just going to simply go ahead and shade in 2 pieces out of the 5 pieces. Based off of the visual, I can tell that 2/3 is greater or bigger than 2/5 because look, it takes up way more space. So I'm just going to simply say 2/3 is greater than backwards L 2/5. Simple. Using fraction bars is the most simple way you can find, you can see which fraction is bigger, smaller, or equal to. It's just which one takes up the most space, or which one takes up the least amount of space, or sometimes they'll even take up the same amount of space. So fraction bars is the easiest. Alright, now I have a number line. Again, I broke my number line up into its 3 pieces, not starting with 0. So 1, 2, 3. So this is 1/3, 2/3, and then 3/3, which is one whole. Alright, again, I'm going to jump to 2/3. So I have, that's it, right here, 2 jumps, 1, 2. That's where I am. I'm going to do the same thing for 2/5. Alright, again, as you can see, it took me a little longer to jump from 0 to 2/3 than it did from 0 to 2/5. So again, based off of my number line, 2/3 is greater or bigger than 2/5. Alright, and then the common denominator part. This part is a little bit trickier, so I would suggest to use this strategy once you are a little bit more familiar and a little bit more comfortable with figuring out how to change denominators. Alright, so you can see that our denominators are different. So in order to figure out, okay, well, which one is really the biggest one, I need to make sure that both of my denominators are the same. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to find my GCF. I know that my GCF, well, let's just list my multiples of 3. So I have 3. Okay, so I have, well, my multiples of 3. Let's go ahead and count. So I have 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27, and 30. So I'm going to stop at 10. So I know 3 times 1 is 3, 3 times 2 is 6, 3 times 3 is 9, so forth, so forth, so forth. And I just went ahead and went to 30. I'm going to do the same thing for 5. List all of my multiples of 5 up until 10. So I have 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, and 50. All right, so I'm going to stop there. Now, as I'm looking at my multiples, I can see that both 3 and 5 have 15 in common. So I'm going to circle 15. So now, that's my new denominator. My new denominator is 15. Why? Because I list my multiples and I saw that that was the one that they had in common. Yes, it's my greatest common factor. Sometimes even the least common factor works. But in this case, that was my greatest because that was the only one they had in common. So now I need to figure out, okay, I once was a 3, now I'm a 15. How do I get from becoming a 3 to a 15? I'm just going to simply multiply it by 5 because I know it took me 5 times to get to 3 from 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to multiply both my denominator and my numerator by 5. Remember, what you do on the bottom, you have to do on the top. That's just the rule. All right, so 3 times 5 is 15, and then I know that 2 times 5 is 10. So now here's my new fraction. I'm no longer 2/3. I am now 10/15ths, or that's my equivalent fraction. All right, same for here. In order to get from a 5 to a 15, I have to multiply by 3. So I'm doing the same thing. 5 times 3 is 15. 2 times 3 is 6. Now, I can compare these two and say, oh, I know that 10/15ths is bigger than 6/15ths because obviously 10 has more pieces out of the 15. The only time you can look at the numerator to figure out which one is less than, greater than, or equal to is if they have common denominators. Common meaning the same denominator. If they do not have the same denominator, I'm simply going to draw out a fraction bar, shade it in, and see which one takes up the most space. Or I'm going to use a number line, and I'm going to hop, skip, jump, do whatever I need to do to figure out which one is common. Now, I'm going to do another example with you using common denominators, just so you guys can see it. I think fraction bars is pretty simple. You just draw out the fraction, shade in how many pieces it told you to use, and then you see which one is bigger or smaller, and that will help you. So obviously I know that 2/3 is greater than 2/3. I'm just going to put my greater than sign right there. All right, now I'm going to use the fraction 4/8 and 6/12. Again, I know that these fractions are not the same. So what I'm going to do is simple. I'm going to use all 3 strategies. Up 1 second, guys. All right, so I'm going to use all 3 strategies. I'm going to draw out 4/8 and 6/12. I'm going to do it on the number line, and then I am going to do the common denominator. So let me get another sheet of paper just to make it a little bit easier so that you guys can see. All right, so I have 4/8 and 6/12. I want to figure out which one is smaller, which one is bigger, or if they're equal. So let me simply draw out 4/8. So I'm going to draw my box. Right, it doesn't have to be anything too crazy, and make sure I have 8 spaces. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is a little messed up because they have to be the same size. All right, so here's 8 right here, and then I'm gonna draw my 6/12s. So same thing, just go ahead and put 12 pieces. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. And then 12. All right. Now that I have my pieces all drawn out, I'm just going to simply shade in 4 because that's what it told me to do. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then I'm going to shade in 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It should be even. It's both a half. Well, they're supposed to be even because they're both the half, but obviously my fraction bar isn't the same size, so one looks smaller than the other, but they're not. They're the same. All right, so as you can see, they both take up the same amount of space. So I can say, 4/8 is equal to 6/12, but I'm not really sure, so let me go ahead and try it on the number line. So here's my number line, and this way is the long way, so I probably wouldn't suggest to do this, but it's okay if you need to. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then 8. So that is 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, and then 8/8, which is a whole. And then I'm doing the same thing down here for 12. So that's 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. So that's 1, 12, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12. All right, and remember, these are all fractions, so over 12, over 12, over 12, over 12. All right, doing my hop, skip, and jump, I want to figure out which one is greater, less than, or equal to. So I want to get to 4/8. So from 0 to 4/8, it takes 1, 2, 3, 4. There you go. We're there. We're marked right here. Bam. And I'm going to do the same thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Bam. As you can see, they line up. They stop exactly at the same point. So again, I'm saying, okay, now I feel a little bit more confident in knowing that 4/8 is equal to 6/12. Now, using the common denominator method, I know they have different denominators, so I want to find a denominator that is the same for these numbers. All right, let me just go ahead and list my multiples of 8. So I have 8, 16, 24, 32, 40, and I'm going to stop at 48, and I'm going to go to 12. So I have 12, 24, 36, 48, 60, and I'm going to stop there. All right, now I'm just going to point out the first number that they both have in common, which is 24. So 24 is now my new denominator. 24 and 24. I need to figure out how to get from being a 12 to a 24. So I know that 12 times 2 is 24. So again, remember, whatever you do on the bottom, you do on the top. So if I multiply by 7, I'm going to multiply the numerator by 7. In this case, I multiply my denominator by 2. So 12 times 2 is 24. 6 times 2 is 12. Sorry. So here's my new fraction, 12 over 24. And then I'm going to do the same exact thing up here. I need to figure out how do I get from becoming an 8, and how do I get from being an 8 and go to a 24. It takes me 3 chances. So 8 times 3 is 24. 4 times 3 is 12. And as you can see, the fraction is the same. So 4/8 is equal to 6/12. All right, guys. Again, here are my strategies that you can use in order to find out or how to compare fractions. You may use fraction bars. You may, to draw it out, you may use a number line to actually see how many hops, skips, and jumps it gets, or you can just simply change the unlike denominators to a common denominator by multiplying and see which numerator is the biggest or the smallest. I hope you guys really take advantage of this video. I hope it was helpful for you. I can't even talk. And of course, as always, if you have any questions, just go ahead and schedule a meeting with me, and you know, we'll get that cleared away. Tomorrow we will meet on Google Live, Google Meet, to go over this. So I hope this video really helped you all as you do your work. I hope so, and really do the strategies, guys.